Hi Freya, is it nice to have Mummy back? I'll bet it is. Tonight's story is Will's Tale. Wilmot James Edward Hutchins was the sixth wolf from the left at the school Christmas concert. When the concert was over, everybody said what a good Christmas forest creature he'd been, and everybody admired his costume. Will admired his costume too, especially the tail. It was a wonderful tail. His mother had made it from the belt of her old fake fur coat. Will himself had sewn it to the seat of his favourite corduroy trousers. It was the kind of tail that hung just right and swung just right. It was the kind of tail with which Will could slink or jump. The kind of tail he could twirl or drape. The kind of tail he could curl smoothly around him. It had patterns and lines and colours in it that Will had never seen or thought about before, and it was softer than anything he'd ever known. When Will got home, he hung the wolf mask on his bedroom wall. He put the sweater, his dad's, back in the big dresser drawer. He put the mittens, his sister's, and the moccasins, his mother's, back in the closet where they belonged. But he kept the tail. There's Will's tail. The next day was Christmas Eve. Will helped wrap presents and eat biscuits. When evening came, his family went to a party at the neighbour's house. Will's dad wore his smart jeans. Will's mummy wore her party blouse. Will's sister wore 16 hair slides, and Will wore his tail. He wore it during supper, and he wore it during games, and he wore it during carol singing. The neighbours thought it was a bit strange, but they were too polite to say anything. Will was tired when he got home. He hung up his stocking and rolled into bed. His tail rolled into bed too, all except the tip, which hung out over the edge. On Christmas morning, Will's family hugged and kissed and opened presents and ate breakfast. They went to the cousins for the day. Will's daddy wore his Christmas tie. Will's mummy wore her Christmas perfume. Will's sister wore her Christmas brooch and her Christmas socks. Will wore his Christmas tail. Aunt Beth nearly had a heart attack when she stepped on it in the kitchen. Oh! On Boxing Day, the family ate leftovers and played 327 games of drafts. Wow, that's a lot of games. The next day, they went shopping in the city. Everybody wore their everyday ordinary clothes. Will wore his tail. The tip of it got caught in the escalator at Selfridge's department store. A loud warning bell went off. 2 security people and 3 maintenance personnel worked to free the mechanism, and every shopper in the whole store came to see the boy whose tail had been caught between the 2nd and the 3rd floors. Uh-oh. For the rest of the week, Will stayed at home with his tail. He repaired it with an extra piece, so it was longer than ever. He built a den in the basement of his house. He took long sleeps in front of the fire with his cat, and he waited for New Year's Eve. On New Year's Eve, the family always went skating on the Whitefish Lake. Will was planning on wearing his tail. He could just see himself streaking down the lake in the darkness, the wind rushing smoothly against his face and his tail flying far out behind. This is what he imagined New Year's Eve to be like. But when New Year's Eve came and he tried to tuck his tail up under his sweater, his mother looked at him. His mummy said, She shook her head and said, no, it's dangerous. You will trip over it and fall, and so will everybody else. Will appealed to his daddy. "No," said Daddy, "it's dangerous. When you go and warm up at the bonfire, you're likely to set yourself on fire." "But it's part of me," said Will. His parents did not agree. Whitefish Lake on New Year's Eve was wonderful. People from all over came to skate and laugh and warm themselves around an enormous bonfire. Will climbed a little hill between the lake and the river which flowed beyond. He listened to the wonderful sound of skate blades on ice. Shoo, shoo, shoo. He watched skaters passing hockey pucks, turning figures of 8 and playing tag. Just when he could stand it no longer and had decided to take off his tail and put on his skates, he heard shouting behind him. "Someone's fallen through the river ice," called the man. It's Will on the hill with his tail. "We can't reach them. We can't reach them. Somebody's fallen through the river. Through the ice and into the river. A rope. We need a rope. We need a long scarf. Help. Anyone, please." Will thought only for one moment. He reached behind him and pulled with all his might. With a rip, his tail came loose. He raced down the slope. The woman took it without a word and disappeared into the darkness. Will never did get to go skating on Whitefish Lake on New Year's Eve. By the time all the excitement died down, it was time for his family to go home. But he did get his tail back. The woman who'd made it made a special point of bringing it back to him. It was sodden and torn and about 4 feet longer than it had been to start with. Will didn't care. His tail had actually saved somebody's life. The tail sits these days, curled up in a special place, right in the middle of Will's bedroom shelf, a heroic Christmas tale. Right, Freya, it's bedtime now. Time to take your little tail and tuck it up behind you and snuggle down into your little bed. Or maybe you've got a little animal with a tail, like a squirrel or a beaver, who can go to bed with you and you can cuddle its tail. Love you lots, darling. Night-night. Love you.